Well, we are excited to introduce a concept called roses, buds, and thorns. And I'm here with Nicole. I had Nicole come because we have had some great experiences in our families with doing this thing called roses, buds, and thorns. A while back, I heard of this concept of calling things in the day a rose, a bud, or a thorn. Now, a rose is something that's great. Of course, a rose, it smells good, it looks good, it's something positive, something that's been a great thing, and you can choose what one of those roses of your day has been, what something a rose of the week or the month or the year, and it's kind of helping you to think of a positive experience that has made a difference for you during that time period. Now, why don't you tell what a bud is?
A bud. So a bud is something that you're looking forward to. And that relates back to the bud of the flower is still waiting to bloom. And so it's still waiting to turn into that rose, something positive. So something you're looking forward to.
And then, of course, a thorn is something that's not positive, but every rose has lots of thorns with it. So life has thorns. That's true. And a thorn would just be something that might be painful or troublesome or something that was a challenge for you. So roses, buds, and thorns has become a way of communicating in our families, and it started from that just challenging each other to look at what the roses and buds and thorns of the day have been. So the way that we do it in our family is when we sit down at the dinner table, everybody has to share a rose. It's kind of like the requirement, right? And it's become a culture, actually, and it's not very hard to get people to help share that. And so we go around the table, and everybody shares something that was one of their roses of the day. And it varies what people share. Like I have kids that are ranging from 2 years old to 15, and so there's different things that people say of different stuff. Like my 13-year-old, quite often it's like, that meal that we're eating right there is the rose of the day, or or whatever it is, or some of the younger kids, they'll have different things that you wouldn't think that was one of the roses of the day, but it's fun to kind of get a little snapshot into their brains of what that memory of the day was. So tell a little bit about your family, Nicole.
Yeah, same thing. We do a lot at the dinner table. Also, it's a tradition with my teenage daughter. She, every night, instead of tucking in, because she's older now, I go down and I talk to her. And one way I've been able to get her to open up is doing roses, buds, and thorns. And so we always go over roses, buds, and thorns at night. And then that opens up a lot of other conversations, which is great, especially about her worries and her concerns. And, we kind of are able to have a good, meaningful conversation, which is hard with teenagers.
Yeah, it's great, and it opens it up. That's why it's just fantastic. It's been a great tool. The buds are really, so, we always share a rose, and then oftentimes people are sharing a bud. In our family, we've said, okay, the rules are you can share as many roses as you want, but please just choose one thorn.
Yes.
And the reason that's been helpful is just because sometimes it's like, well, I had a rose, but there were these 12 thorns, and then you're over there in this gripe session. Mm-hmm. And it's not like we're trying to ignore the thorns, but it really has a big thing about your focus and what your focus is.
Yeah. Speaking about that, so my son, as a younger child, was starting to get very depressed, and he would churn a 5-minute bad thing, and it would ruin his whole day. And I started integrating this and trying to focus on those roses. Like, we could talk about that thorn, but let's look at what else happened after that thorn. What was good? And trying to really switch that perspective that it's, that was bad and we worked through it, but there was still positive, fun things that had happened.
Yeah. And thinking back to the concept of it is every day, I think of it kind of like a package, like you have this package that you're wrapping up and you're putting in yourself for the day. And when the day's over, your subconscious, it will go off of whatever you think, or whatever you feed it, I guess is what you'd say. So if you can package up something great and say, you know what, this day was really great because of this, this, and this, put it in a little bag, put it in a little thing, wrap it up and put a bow on it and stick it in there. It's part of this gift that you've given yourself for the day. But backing up a little bit, how often is it this that you show up from whatever you've been doing for the day? So you show up from work and it's like, how was your day? What's the answer to that question? It's so easy for the answer to be,
it was so bad, and this and this and this and this, and just going on and complaining.
Yeah, just on and on about whatever it is. When if you're actually focusing on what the roses are of the day, if you're trying to pick 3 roses of the day and package those up as the memory of your day, you'll literally start to have your day be those things that you remember from the day. I had a really great win for me was it's probably been about 3 years ago. I was driving on I-15 and I needed to go down to American Fork, and I was in a hurry doing whatever it was. Driving down there, I get a flat tire. Okay? So I pulled over, got a flat tire, whatever it is. We got the flat tire all figured out and, got it sorted out. But when I came home that day, the question was like, how was your day? And I was talking about the different roses of the day and and I had almost completely forgotten about the flat tire.
Yay.
I mean, how great is that, right?
That's
because
awesome.
Usually you'd be like, oh, I got a flat tire and then it put me behind, whatever it was. And it was like, because I've been practicing this, I literally didn't think of the flat tire first. I thought of these other roses that were the things that I really wanted to have be the memory of the day.
That's amazing.
And then back to the buds or the thorns. It's like Nicole already said, it's a really great opportunity to open up about those things because sometimes there is a certain amount of like being positive that is like people think, oh, just always be positive, but there is a really big value to having those connections of things that are worrisome, things that are a strong motivator because of fears and those other things that are happening, and the time to talk about those thorns can really open that up really nicely. So I love that you shared about the teens having success with that.
Yeah, it's been really great.
Any other comments? Any other things that have helped you with your at home with your family?
Oh, that's a great question. I mean, I do love the buds too. We don't want to forget about the buds. There's been certain times, like my daughter had an injury. She's a dancer, and so she had a lot of thorns during that time because she wasn't able to participate with her team. And so it was hard for her to find roses. So then we focus a little more on the buds. Oh, well, you've only got 2 more weeks of physical therapy, and then you can start doing this again in dance. And it gave her a light at the end of the tunnel almost, for lack of a better
it's like
analogy.
taking a thorn and turning it into, well, it's like the visual that I have with it is there's a thorn on this stem, but on that same stem there's a bud.
There's a bud,
and
yeah.
it's going to become a rose someday too.
Yeah.
So that's pretty exciting. And lots of different trials and stuff like that can be that way, where it's like there is definitely a rose on the other side of a lot of things.
Yeah.
It's just hard to see it.
Yeah.
It's hard to see it when you're in the bushes.
Yeah, being able to try to part those bushes and look through and see it. I think that's what we use a lot the buds for in our house.
Very good. One more thing that we thought we'd add too is implementing this into a family can be an interesting thing too. So you have to tell a little bit about James.
Oh, James. He is the love of my life, and he's a bit stubborn.
And he's a teaser, and he's funny. He's got a really great sense of humor.
He does. He's amazing. But he doesn't participate always at the dinner table with roses, buds, and thorns. He'll say, oh, a rose is a flower or a thorn, and we just kind of laugh it off and move on.
Okay, so that's good. And then I tease him by texting him,
Yes.
like, what was your rose of the day?
Yeah.
Those kind of things. So, don't feel bad if everybody's not on board with it. It's not that big a deal. And also, you don't have to think that it's like, oh, we have to be in this ideal situation where everybody conforms to thinking roses, buds, and thorns. It's a concept, and it's something that takes time to do. Like, how long did it take you guys when you started to use it regularly before it really kind of became a tradition in your family?
Oh, a good month or two. I mean, and now I even forget sometimes, and my littler children will say,
They remind you.
yeah, we need to do roses, buds, and thorns every night at dinner. I'm like, oh, I totally forgot,
Yeah.
And so they're the habit seekers.
Yeah, that's good. Another thing that can be done too is you can put time frames with it too. So there's a daily thing like that, like we've been talking about. But sometimes on Sunday, at dinner on Sundays, we'll have like, what was your rose of the week? And kind of summarize for the week of what it is, or look forward to a certain period of time too. And when it comes to like looking over your whole year, how the year has been, you can do that same concept of thinking, what are some of the biggest roses of the year? What are some of the biggest buds of this upcoming year? And what are some of the thorns that I've experienced and overcome, or that I'm just currently doing, and just be with those as well.
I think too, it's a good journaling opportunity. If you're a single person and you live by yourself and you don't necessarily have family or friends around all the time, use it as a journaling opportunity. You can journal those down, and I think that's a great thing too.
Yeah, and looking back on that journal will be good. With that said, we have a journal, an exercise in the workbook that has, to identify some roses, buds, and thorns, and to practice that for a little while. So you'll turn to those in your workbook and have some of those exercises to write it down. Writing down is pretty important at first, I think. I mean, it's always important and helpful, more helpful with that, and that's what the whole purpose of the workbook is.
Awesome.
But once the practice is there, the idea is that you naturally just are thinking of those throughout the day and trying to identify them too. Have you ever had where the kids play this game where they're looking for different colors of cars? So we'll be driving along and they're purple, whatever. And so they're like looking for different colors of cars. But it's the same kind of thing where you learned about a certain car, and then all of a sudden you just see them everywhere of like that certain car, and you never did before. That's how the roses are. You'll start to be looking throughout the day for a rose that you can then share with either yourself in your journal, or with other people. And as you're looking for those roses throughout the day, they'll start to become more and more that you'll find.
They'll multiply. I like it.